Osiris.
Count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
You have found Daniel Donato's Lost Highway.
that lost highway.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to episode 54 of the Lost Highway podcast. This is the podcast of all things Cosmic Country. My name is Daniel Donato, and I really do thank you guys for sitting down and or moving your bodies while also attenuating your consciousness to this episode of all things Cosmic Country, which I'm still discovering what that is and probably am never going to stop. Two things. Well, one that I've read that is resonating with how I'm feeling, and then also a recent thought that I had from an encounter that I had with a friend of mine that was really needed. The first one is one I read. This one comes from one of my heroes, Carl Jung. Novice in Carl Jung world, y'all. Very, very novice, but it's a fun world to be novice in. This comes from the Red Book. Why are you looking around for help? Do you believe that help will come from outside? What is to come is created in you and from you. Hence, look into yourself. Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is really yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. One more time. Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is really yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Easier said than done, Carl. Easier said than done, man. But I am certainly trying all the time. And I want to let you know about a personal experience that I just had that gave me permission to do this, because I feel like this concept is one that you kind of have to give yourself permission to be that wide and be that filling in the shoes of potential that you've been given. My friend was in town performing at, I can say his name, he's somewhat famous, Ed Bassmaster, and he's performing over at Zanies, which is a local comedy club here in town. And the next day, he was playing on a Friday and Saturday, both of days of which were just immensely cosmic and strange. But we went and saw him Friday, and it was just like really good. But then after the show, he was telling me that the energy wasn't there, and I'll believe him because he's a real pro. And I was thinking, that's interesting, because I've been thinking a lot about this concept lately of not taking yourself seriously, but taking the thing that you do very seriously. And like his whole thing when you're on stage or when you're watching him on his clips is that you're not taking him seriously at all. Well, that's what's so funny. But he does. He takes it really seriously in ways that are efficient, and he takes it not seriously in ways that are efficient. And the next day, we were sitting in their lodging before they went on Saturday, and he showed me this bag of goodies that he bought from Dollar General, and he like showed me videos of him going to Dollar General and like messing with everybody. And I realized, I was thinking, well, this guy, his whole thing with comedy is that he has these characters that he portrays on stage, and he essentially embodies these characters that are not him. And what I realized, and what we got down to in discussion, were a couple things. One of which is that you, whether you don't think you're a character, you are a character. You are portraying a character. You tell yourself stories about yourself. You tell other people stories. You even consume the stories of others to help enhance the story that you tell yourself. So, and you can't stop that. It's not like, oh, I'm going to stop telling stories. I'm going to stop being myself. It's like, perhaps in a sovereign and dutiful way, observe the stories that you're receiving, analyzing, and reacting from to the best degree that you can. And these are all things that I'm trying to do. I'm not telling you to do anything, because I'm a dumbass. You don't want to listen to me. Another thing was always commit. Always commit to the character that you're in. Always commit to what you are doing and what you are saying. Find belief in the ways that you can and commit to what you are doing. Have faith in the fact that what you're doing, even if it's not working presently, that there can be and a sum that is quantitatively sound, or qualitatively rather, at the end of some algorithm that you're engaging with. So this would be, you're in an awkward simulation situation of life. it might work itself out most likely. And you'll look back, and if there was any hardship, it might just go on the resume that you have and helps you tell your story to others. Another thing too was that he was coming up with all of these jokes and ideas for these different characters. He was showing me this bag of goodies. One was like a spray gun. One was like a bouquet of roses. And there was like 8 or 9, literally 8 or 9, almost a dozen other items that were just random. And what I realized was that if you can tell yourself the story that coming up with material and that being inspired and that the border between creation and living aren't all that different, and that you can kind of always be on, especially if you're always in a character, well, then it's like you can be inspired by anything. So how does Ed go into Dollar General, find inspiration almost 10 plus times over, and then go on stage that very night and trust those jokes? That's a big deal to have an idea that day and try it on stage. Now, I didn't get to see the show, so I don't know how well it went over, because I had an event to go to help save the turtles of the Harpeth River. But it was like, man, there it is. A lot of things coming true before my eyes by simply observing one of my friends who happens to be quite a realized genius in what he does. Commit to character, and don't take the character so seriously, but take the work that the character is doing seriously. Realize and try to realize and be aware and be consistently attentive with the feeling as well that's internally found of the stories that you're telling. Be aware of the fact you're telling stories and try to tell the best ones for you. And look into yourself. Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is really yours. All their ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Carl Jung. That is really just keeping it cosmic in the best way. And stay inspired. Stay patient, stay persistent, stay positive. And I will see y'all down the road. Perhaps one of the most cosmic concepts I've ever come across are non-fungible tokens. You're telling me that anything and everything can be sold on the blockchain and have royalties in perpetuity to whichever creator is the person who had minted said NFT. That is immensely beautiful. And I'm of course, I'm a tourist and a novice in the world of finance and transactions and just consumer relations in general. But I have to think that this will play a pretty relevant part in our objective reality as we move into the future. And so who, what, where, and how. And Ryan Maloney is a big who in this world. His work with Ariana Grande and other really huge artists, as well as the art that he has created in the NFT space and not in the NFT space, having made books and illustrations and videos. I have to summarize that he is a brilliant, creative, and industrious individual, which are my favorite kinds of people. So it was a privilege to sit down on the microphone, talk about the process of minting NFTs, how he goes about it, his TikTok page, which I love so sincerely much, the creative process, and a lot of good cosmic concepts specifically focused around non-fungible tokens, Ryan Maloney's art. I present to you no other than Mr. Ryan Maloney. Thanks for doing this today, my friend. I'm very intrigued by the work that you're doing, particularly on TikTok. And that's a platform I became aware of you on, but it looks like you've been having a career for many, many years now. It's been very successful.
I'm old, yeah.
That's great. You got a couple guitars back there too, huh?
Oh, yeah. Those are more so just decorations, but if you want me to play like a G chord, I could rip a pretty solid G chord.
It's the most solid chord of them all. It's ironically enough.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of your videos, and I'm not even going to take that off the wall because it'll scare away your audience.
Yeah. My audience, it certainly does love guitar, but they also love, a lot of them are independent creators, and there seems to be a huge printing press 10x revolution that's happening right now, specifically within the realm of NFTs. And you're making a lot of consumable content that's very easily understood on like a rapid cognition level.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people say today, like we have a short attention span, but I think we actually just have a short consideration span for things, not attention.
Yep.
So, man, I would just love to kind of talk to an expert or someone who really knows how to communicate the concept simply, rather. And you've also minted several of your own already and had great success with those. So,
I have.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about for people who don't know what an NFT is, we could start there, and then I have several more questions.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, and probably the reason you understand what the content that I make around it is because it's a complicated subject, and I'm almost creating the videos at the same time I'm learning about it. So I'm sort of bringing in the information and saying, all right, how can I understand this? And then I'm going to create a video. I'm almost documenting it for myself so I can like look back at that and see what it is. But NFTs are non-fungible tokens. So they are digital assets that people are buying and selling and trading on the blockchain. So you're probably seeing a lot of press about, well, NFTs are just JPEGs that somebody can rip off, but it's becoming a lot more than that. It's sort of a new way to trade. A lot of the hype right now is around art, but I think it's going to be a lot more than that.
That's the thing too. So I've spoken with Josh Katz, founder of Yellowheart, which predominantly is the bigger name in the space, the blue chip, if you will.
Yeah.
In terms of working with acts that don't have the entrepreneurial leeway, honestly, because they have such big teams to go and mint their own NFTs like you do on an individual basis. So like Kings of Leon, i.e., they just did something with Yellowheart. And so I'm very interested to see, where do you think it comes into the music realm? Because we can get LeBron James shots of him dunking, and that's dope. And then people obviously had the biggest outlier of them all, following the pattern that Malcolm Gladwell always predicts, is that we have outlier patterns of success, and then we have trickle down phenomena that follow with that large wave. But specifically within the realm of the industry of music, blockchain's insane in terms of how fast people could start getting royalty payments, and how accounting is going to have to change at whole. But where do you see NFTs starting to manifest within the realm of independent creators in the music space?
So I was talking with an artist that I used to make, over the last 10 years, I've made music videos for, like cartoon music videos. And when I learned about NFTs, I reached out to him and I said, we might be able to take these cartoons that I made and break it apart and create some sort of multimedia NFT that has the characters, it has the album art, it has stats about your song, behind the song. As a non-musician, looking at musicians making music, I could watch YouTube videos of musicians in the studio like all day long. I don't know why. I just like to see that, like, Kanye West making beats. I'm like, wow, that's like, blows my mind. So, basically any little nugget that is a rare or unique moment could be turned into an NFT. So if you record a song and you make 18 different tracks, 3 of them were terrible, but there's like some charm to it, one of those could be an NFT. But you could also, the way I've been thinking about it is taking the NBA Top Shots model, which are these like 3D cubes that sort of explode out and rotate around and show you different angles, shows you video, images, stats. I sort of like, if you're a musician and you think of yourself, put yourself in that position of LeBron, like what would the coolest things you want people to see about you or hear, and try to mix it into, like, there's no rules with NFTs. They can be JPEGs, videos, music clips, full songs. I don't know, if there's going to be many full song NFTs, but I'm sure there will be. And it also it brings up, you brought up royalties. And the way I see it is right now you have a platform like Spotify giving out 0.003 whatever per stream, cents per stream.
0.5016.
That's crazy.
Absolutely insane.
So you have a platform where all the advertising money goes into, and then they divvy it out to the creators. What blockchain can do, and it's going to be controversial, and there's going to probably be wars over this, is you have a blockchain running down the middle. And if you think about a blockchain, for NFTs, you need to learn about blockchain just a little bit. Spend 5 minutes. Basically, an Excel spreadsheet that to interact with it, you need to use smart contracts. Now, what you could have with a blockchain is an advertiser puts money directly into the blockchain, and then that blockchain will distribute that money to musicians, the creators, and also to the listeners. So it could create, it's sort of a hypothetical situation that I see, but I could see having no platform in the middle other than a shell to interact with the blockchain.
Right. It's taking out the middleman, which often
internet has always done systematically, right? Amazon, eBay, right? We were just talking about other patterns of humanity and commerce and trading just starting to manifest and now going straight into the realm of the music industry. Absolutely insane. What's so admirable about you is that you're embracing the wild, wild west. That is the new way of honing your IP and monetizing and creating value with a fan base. A lot of people are finding a lot of negatives within the realm of the NFT, but you're systematically actually turning that axis on its side and saying, let's dive into this. Let's find the systematic approach that's positive.
Yeah, well, I NFTs really attracted me because I'm just a creative addict who creates all day, every day. And I have like 100 lines of characters that I've pitched to toy companies or book ideas and card series. And then NFTs showed up out of nowhere. And I said, wait a minute, I don't need to go to these companies to pitch this stuff. And I put Beastly Ballers up on OpenSea and it was like, all right, I got my first sale and I was like, come on, this is like too good to be true. And then I saw people start to trade it. And now with NFTs, there's the incentive factor. Every time you create something and it gets traded or sold, I get a commission on that for life.
10 to 20%, right, is what I'm seeing?
I set mine at 4%, but if it's 10 to 20%, I'm making a major mistake and I need to go back.
It's so unregulated right now. It's so embryonic.
I mean, if you think about the $60 million NFT sale, Beeple's getting 4% of that every time it's traded. So there's an incentive structure under there that lasts for life, that it's going to attract a lot of people to NFTs. And I could see that being a big reason why NFTs will be around for a long time after the hype dies down.
After the hype dies down, and you're also talking about a decentralized form of currency that is instantaneously transferred over to the intellectual property owner. Like that is absolutely insane. We're not talking about having to pay transaction fees from Canada, right? And where you have a $50 Canada transaction, you have a $36 royalty receivement USD, right? We're talking about cryptocurrency, right? Absolutely fundamental. It's kind of hard to grasp this. I'm viewing it as like, this is the ultimate light at the end of the tunnel that came from last year's total structural breakdown of society.
I totally agree. It was much, much needed. I mean, it's completely changed the way I've thought about everything that I create. And it's given sort of a purpose to what I create. Because every day I wake up and I have these characters and drawings in me. I need to make them no matter what. And now when I'm making them, I'm thinking to myself, there's going to be a collector who really appreciates this.
Yes, sir.
And then you meet your collectors on, Twitter and your messaging, and it's fun to see them trade with other people or ask me like, could I trade this for an NBA Top Shot? And it's sort of like going back to the days when you were kids, like trading cards. It's like, but it's digitized and it's like just an easy system to use.
Right. And the digital world is definitely as real as the analog high resolution world we participate in. If you just look at the social status factor of having a blue check mark, it's unbelievable. People will treat me differently having seen that I have a blue check mark on my TikTok. It's so absurd, but it's also not absurd because humans are humans, right? So you want to take it in as it comes. But assets that are now blocked or that are now on the blockchain have a level of authenticity that no human-based organization could ever back up. Like when we go to the Louvre, or infamously here in Nashville, the Frist, which is an amazing, world-class art museum, we're just trusting that these are the real, these are actual, assets. But with the blockchain, it is undeniably provable.
Yeah, the way I think about it is before NFTs came around to me, everything was just floating. There's nothing connected.
Wow.
And the pictures on your wall, you don't know what those are worth. But now with the blockchain, you see the value. You see things being traded. And it connects things in a way I've never seen before.
So when you are making creations, you have a daily process that you go through?
Yeah, it's basically the first 2 hours of my day are creating something that I've either planned out at night or the most important thing I need to work on for that day, but it's mostly personal projects. And then after a couple hours, I'll usually be burnt out. So I'll take like a 15-minute break. And then I have a bunch of client work. I have like a small creative agency. and then my clients are usually emailing, and that takes up most of my day. And then I'm back to planning at night or finishing up some of my personal projects. But it's my entire day is built around my creative energy levels. Basically, I've like 3 or 4 big waves and breaks in between.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You hear about the first 2 hours of the day being the most, lucrative window in terms of finding with the most creativity. Are you a pretty early riser?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. I'll mostly beat them up, but I'm like a 6 a.m. riser.
And so you're working by what, 6:15? You're just up and at it.
Usually takes me do a little bit of yoga, do a little 10 minutes of yoga, get the coffee ready, a little bit of breakfast, and then I like to be ready by 7 a.m. And if I keep that consistent, that 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. window for years, your work just adds up like crazy, and I'm usually chipping away at a few different projects in that window period, and then I say it just creatively compounds. And I have less of a memory when I first wake up in the morning. So I can, if I dive right into doing something, it compounds without it being like a painful grind, if you will. Like I'll almost not remember anything I create. It'll just kind of add up, and I'll have like books made after like a year or so, or less than a year, a couple months.
How long do you spend on a particular creation before you say it's done? I'm sure it's different for each one, but are you like, if you started that day, do you have to finish it that day? Or because a lot of songwriters are that way, and some
yeah, that's a good one. It depends on the project. So I have a graphic novel I've been working on for probably 2 straight years. So that's my long-term creatively compounding project. And then I have Beastly Ballers, my NFTs, and I can basically do one a morning. And I sort of don't let myself do any more than like a quota I give myself, because I just sort of burn out. So, and it also makes me want to do more. If I say, all right, you can only work on this for 15 minutes, and you get into it and you get into the zone, and then the alarm goes off, then it makes you want to keep going rather than, oh, I have to make this for 30 minutes. It tricks your brain. It's like, the way I trick my kids to eat broccoli, like, don't touch this piece of broccoli. I'm going to put it on your plate. Don't touch this. And it just completely tricks the way your mind works.
Unbelievable when you set self-imposed parameters.
Big time.
Sure, it's unbelievable how it changes. It's wild.
Yeah, it's like people say discipline equals freedom, but I think discipline equals creativity, and urgency increases creativity. And it's like I can't work unless I have urgency and a deadline and like a cutoff, or like a blank sheet of paper. Like I need the pressure to be on,
I hate how that is the case. I'm very much so the same way. I hate how it's when the studio is booked, 4 weeks from now, and then all of my ideas come to me. And it's like, what was I doing all last year when we had a year to not do that, and you could have been percolating, coming up with assets of knowledge. But
it's the cave people in us.
Oh, how so?
Well, I mean, I think if you think or pretend we're cave people in the cave, and there's plenty of animals running around and the weather's perfect outside, like we're going to be a little bit lazier. Mm-hmm. But if there's 3 feet of snow on the ground and only one buffalo walks by every 3 months, like you need to like at that moment, get to hunting.
Obviously you're one of the earliest outspoken and prolific in terms of content creation minds in the NFT field. Obviously, not looking at people and not looking at large corporations that like NBA Top Shot, but just on an individualized basis. You're one of the most prolific people that I can find within the space right now operating. Do you think you found great success already so far within the NFT world, and where do you see it going? Say just a year from now.
I think I've only dipped my toe into it, and I'm way bigger than people I know. I've sold, hundreds of millions of dollars of NFTs. Actually, I haven't.
People's so weird.
I know.
Weird guy. Like it's all just a perfect storm.
I know. It's I don't think I found success in it all. I think it's just a system that's going to help me create more and be rewarded more for the things that I like to create. It's like the beginning. I mean, the creator economy is already here, but I mean, you see it with platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon. Right. Those are still centralized services. This is more of a decentralized creator economy, that this could be the beginning of it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of, negative press around NFTs. But where I see it going in a year, I'd say it's going to be a little bit of a rocky road. And then once people understand the system, the incentive system underneath, it's just going to be, it's going to be second nature to creators.
Yes, indeed. Right. Absolutely. I mean, and how little understanding you need to understand the incentivized nature of the whole transaction. I mean, why would you want to have those Air Jordans over Air Jordans X when you want Air Jordans Y? Well, it's because Air Jordans Y has a variable that creates great perceived value, and it's an emotional transaction that you want to take part of. There's nothing new here. It's just that it's digitized. People are having a hard time understanding it. Can I not just take that JPEG and share it on Instagram? And it's like, yes, you can promote this asset for free. It's the most.
Go do it.
Please do. Exactly. Yeah. You don't own it. You're not on that contract transaction, not at all, like zero. And that's where we're going to start seeing that exclusivity start to rise in value, huh?
Absolutely. Go try to sell that JPEG.
Zero.
They will quickly realize that they're wasting their time trying to take down something that it's just, blockchain is going to be very, very powerful and part of everybody's life. And you're either arguing for the horse or the car at that point. I can't see it. Once you mint your first NFT and you see somebody trade it, you've never felt a stronger pull to create better artwork to help that person out. It's like you're helping each other out. There's just incentive all the way through. It's just a win-win-win ecosystem.
It's absolutely. It's kind of similar to the concept of quadratic investing, right? But only with the variable being value. So Ryan gives person A $1 and Daniel gives person A $1. Person A receives $4.
Mm-hmm.
They receive the square of the total amount invested. What's happening with NFTs between creators and consumers is that it's a value. Like the value of the creator inevitably rises by the square. And then also just through the exponential nature of the internet and how streetwear, a hype beast kind of culture, creates a value that's always 2x of what things cost. It's kind of the same thing. It's the same vibe that we saw on like all those fancy off-white Nikes that were going for $2,000 at Virgil, right? Just with digitized art assets.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what would you say would be, the thing is that it seems like it's only top tier earning individuals right now that are buying NFTs. And I might be wrong. But I'm not seeing a lot of normal, like just 9 to 5 people that make, say, $100,000 a year and under, or just a little bit more, consuming NFTs at scale. Have you seen that? And if you haven't seen that, kind of how do you see that start to happen?
It's an interesting question. I don't know what my collectors make, but I assume they have extra money to spare and invest. I assume they're Bitcoin and altcoin buyers, and they look at NFTs the same way they look at Bitcoin and altcoin. So they're probably cashing out of that to buy NFTs and looking at it in the same wallet and looking to profit right away. I've seen people buy my Beastly Ballers and list it for many, many multiples right away. So if they can sell it for that, I'm going to keep trying to make great artwork so it does sell for that. But I don't know, for people, the 9 to 5 people, it's sort of, they can look at this as another investment in Bitcoin or altcoin and put a small percentage of their portfolio into things they really care about and artists they really care about. It's like a way to invest deeper into one of their creators, or even if it's a musician. It's much more than just listening to their songs on Spotify. It's owning a piece of their career, and you're playing a part in that. You're going to profit off of it, and they're going to create better artwork because of it.
Of course they are, right? So you've already found that it's enhanced your creative approach and execution within your regimen. Yeah.
So the way I would work in the past is I started making these a year ago on TikTok, and I just said, I'm going to make this card series. I'm going to go to China, have them printed, have them put on a boat and shipped over here, and I'm going to sell them to a toy company or a Walgreens or a Walmart. And then I put it on hold because I hate to print stuff. It's just such a pain.
I hate printing.
It's like I don't want to cut down a million trees for these things, and so I put these on hold. And then when I found NFTs, I can just list these, and then people are investing in my art career, and it makes me want to make more of them. If I sold them to a toy company or Walgreens or Walmart, I might get a little lazy if these are sitting on shelves. There's nothing I can be doing to help the sale of those in the store because there's such a disconnect in the physical world. But in the digital world, when this is live, my next creation is helping this go up in value. So, I want to create more Beastly Ballers. I want to make them as good as I can. I'm starting to think about how can I make them more multimedia? What would people really appreciate? Like, what more value can I add to my next series that drives this value up and drives up the value of my next series?
Absolutely. That's the unbelievable depth that the NFT approach allows us, is that the art can actually be as immersive as the creator wants it to be. A great example is the musical prodigy Jacob Collier. Who's a Grammy nominated artist. I think he's my age. He's 26, super just young, crazy. He put up a Logic session, which is a recording software, of an entire song of his. And so he's marketing 3 of those off as NFTs, and you can actually get in on the touchpad and go and see what all the faders,
nice,
all the volumes are set at, and unbelievable. And why I'm bringing that up, it kind of to go in tandem with the concept of transportation of goods, of shipping, printing in China, shipping from China, right? And having to, commit to that process of things. Unfortunately, I did see a quote from Seth Godin, one of his blog posts about, why NFTs are a trap. And I saw a piece of content on yours about why NFTs are a trap as well. Mm-hmm. We're starting to get into the carbon emissions about having all this, how much it costs to just simply have to store Ethereum, which is, it sounds like it's more than Bitcoin, surprisingly. So do you have any knowledge on what this does for the environment and perhaps why it's actually better than just shipping and printing from China?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's better. I'm trying to see both sides of the argument. One of the musicians that I work with, Asher Roth, he was actually the first musician to put me in my place when I told him about the NFTs. He said he was worried about, the ecological impact. So I started to look into it, and it's, the data on it is pretty crazy. And if you think about it, it's a decentralized system. So when you mint something to the blockchain, there's thousands of computers around the world proofing that. So that's a lot of power and energy being used. You can't really deny that. At the same time, you can't really deny the technology of the blockchain either. So,
right.
Right. I don't know what the answer is, and as long as people know, have it on their mind that we need to do it the right way moving forward, I think there's going to be a lot of companies that, and I've seen some that escape my mind right now, but there's a lot of companies focusing on it, and I'm sure that it's going to be some sort of solar power solution with over top of mining farms that would make this a lot more efficient and eco-friendly. I hope, because it's, we're not just minting NFTs for the money. It's, it's because, NFTs really work out because we just love to create, and it's a great system that supports us. And, we're not trying to tear down the,
right.
Tear down the trees or the environment. So hopefully there's a way around it and a solve for that. And people are working towards that.
There is a shadow to everything. The Carl Jung concept is very real. There absolutely is a shadow to everything, but this just seems like such a more fortunate and logical evolution that art is affected by with the power that is the internet. The internet is so young. It's unbelievable just to see this transformation that's already happening within. Just feels like 2 weeks ago, NFTs were like nothing. And now now they're just all you read about.
Without a doubt. I mean, it was like one day, it just clicked in my head because I had heard about NFTs for years. And I'm like, no, nobody's trading kitties.
Not yet.
Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute. I just looked around my room of all this physical artwork and characters and concepts. I'm like, you know what? I got to try this out. And once you do it, I mean, I'd take, if anybody wants to feel the incentive to create something better, go mint something on the blockchain and there'll be an incentive you haven't felt in a long time.
You do have several instructional videos that are on TikTok, right? But since we have the listeners' attention already on this podcast, your process is to go to the website OpenSea.io, which seems to be, in terms of independent creators, the standard right now in terms of doing transactions on the blockchain with NFTs.
OpenSea.io is my go-to. And the first time I minted anything, I went to Rarible.
Yep.
And you're going to quickly learn about gas fees. So a gas fee is anytime you mint a piece of artwork or a digital asset to the blockchain, you have to pay a gas fee, which is interacting with the Ethereum blockchain. And Ethereum is extremely expensive right now, and it's based on the amount of traffic on the Ethereum blockchain. So the prices to the gas fees are pretty high to mint something right now. And on Rarible, you have to pay a gas fee every time you put it on the blockchain. So I looked for a different solution, and OpenSea allows you to pay one gas fee at first. And then you can list as many items as you want. And then you don't pay a gas fee until that item sells.
Mm-hmm.
But be prepared for high gas fees. I mean, that's also, other than the ecological impact, the high gas fees and the speed of the Ethereum blockchain needs to be solved. So, we're still sort of in the dial-up era, if you will.
Unbelievable how many people use that. Mark Cuban's used that. Gary Vee's used that. You've used that.
Oh, really? I haven't heard them. So
institutional finance that, a lot of people, when they're in their 20s, they move to New York to play guitar and they realize that doesn't work out for them. But then here they are 20 years later and they work at Goldman Sachs and I'm friends with them. And so, even the people in institutional finance who are on the bearish side of the NFT concept at whole, they use the dial-up metaphor. And I very much so remember the dial-up times being just like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy, right? But then here we are no time later and it's just integrated into our lives at immense speeds.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually drop the NFT label. I think it's too confusing. I think
fungible word. It's not gonna. It's gonna schlep off your average Joe in a half a second.
Yeah, I don't see songs on Spotify being called MP3s. Like it's gonna be different. We're gonna drop it. It's just gonna be, it's gonna be assumed that the creator has a commission for life, and then you can see all of these interactions on the blockchain for whatever it is.
Right. So you've really taken the time, even though it is a basic concept, you've taken the time to understand this and be able to explain it simply, which is, Albert Einstein's definition of understanding something.
Maybe I'm just not that smart. So it needs to be very simple for me.
Spoken humbly like a true artistic man. Very great. Absolutely. Your intelligence is, and the way you incorporate your kind of like sadistic comedy into your content is so funny. Are you overthinking these things when you, because it's also apparent in your art. Like I follow all the art that you're putting out and I see it, all the Beastly Ballers. And there is this kind of tinge of like, your art makes more sense now that I'm able to speak with you.
Mm-hmm.
Such a beautiful transparency that I love to see within artists. It's always weird where it's like, I listen to their song and then I meet them and I'm like, is this you really? There's a real transparency there. And so when you're making this content and you're even with Beastly Ballers, are you really overthinking things or is it more just stream of consciousness?
So there's a difference between like my TikToks. Sometimes I'll incorporate a little bit of like comedy and stuff into it, but it's really spur of the moment. Like it's very hard to plan out a TikTok because then it's just going to seem forced.
Yes.
I don't know. I like TikTok because it's just spur of the moment. It's sort of a documentation of your day, and you just like put a little bit of a spin on it. With Beastly Ballers and my drawing videos, like when I'm making them, there's a little bit of like a showmanship and a little bit of attitude I put into it. But the drawings themselves, I let them come from sort of nowhere. Like when I go to start a drawing, I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm sort of fighting it. I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel like drawing today. And then 45 minutes later, I'm just like zoned out and I have a drawing.
So fast, comes fast.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. That's the Stephen Pressfield is you got to face that resistance every day.
Oh yeah. I look for that resistance every day. Like, what am I afraid of doing today? Like, I'm going on a podcast. All right. That's what I have to do. Like, it's it. Like that's, it'll age you and stress you out, but it's like then it gets you over those things very quickly. And it's like, just like going to the gym, like sucks at first, but 6 weeks later when you're flowing and just getting tons of results, it's like well worth it.
Whoa, man. So in regards to the OpenSea endeavor, are you scheduling out a quantity versus quality duality within putting content or NFTs? I don't know if you would say NFTs are content. I guess it's content that you monetize. It's hard to say. The thing that TikTok, I love symbols. Like, I think many things are symbols that are archetypes and or memes of repeated episodes of human history.
Yeah,
NFTs 100% are. NFTs 100% are. Quantity over quality seems to be what the TikTok symbol is. Like, it is a quantity game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so are you seeing that NFTs are a quantity game?
I think of them differently. I think quantity is an attention game, or quantity is for the attention game. And NFTs are more of a store. So you want a solid packaged good that you can be proud to buy and that you look for. So with BC Ballers, I sort of got lucky that I had the brand name and the characters, and sort of I thought of them as more of a Garbage Pail Kids type series. So it was ready to go. I've posted my other artwork on there and it hasn't sold because it's not packaged together. But I don't think of NFTs as a quantity game. You can do that, but I think it's a little bit different when it comes content. It's more of knowledge transfer. And I think NFTs are more about like transferring value, like actual currency. So I like to think of make your NFTs as nice as possible. Take as much time as you need to, because I think people will value that. They appreciate that extra effort and that extra work. But TikTok, quantity, it's algorithm, it's hashtags, it's riding. I mean, I just caught the wave of the NFTs. So, I'm in the hashtags of NFTs and I'm probably all up on your feed because of it. Because I consciously thought, wow, I like this. Other people are into this. I'm going to go hard on this for a couple of weeks. And then you're riding the wave. The wave will die down, but quantity is your friend when it comes to platforms that, are trying to capture people's attention, and NFTs are more about what's your product,
Right. And each artist has a different duration that they participate with in terms of, starting and finalizing any piece of a product.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like for you definitely have it down to a streamlined process where you can pretty much do a Beastly Baller in a day, in a morning.
Yep. But I'm not going to release them until I have a package of 24 new ones. And then I'm going to break them apart by which one's rare, ultra rare, super rare. And
the gradient of rareness.
Yeah. So you need to create that scarcity. And it's kind of fun because you're sort of making it up. But, I just tell myself, all right, I'll never draw this character again. So whoever buys this, that's it. And I made some mistakes listing my first Beastly Ballers. Somebody messaged me over the weekend. They said, I thought this was a unique NFT, but I accidentally listed it twice. So now I have to you have to play customer service and, make sure you keep them happy. So I'm going to give them exclusive rights to a Series 2 Beastly Baller before other people get it.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with retaining the 20% of your consumer base by giving them that personal transaction this early on in this endeavor. Right. That would
Absolutely.
It's kind of a loss leader at that point, but it's perfect.
That's how I think of my NFTs now. They're loss leaders. It's people are complaining like, man, don't you have to pay all this money for gas fees? And I'm like, I would pay whatever it took to have collectors, singing my praises. How else am I going to get this out there?
People don't understand the value of grassroots promotion, which is how Facebook became to be Facebook. We're talking about, again, repeated episodes of humanity, right? It's an ongoing Netflix series called Humanity. And it's going to be the same director each time, just different people, right? And it's unbelievable how these elements come and they happen throughout history in the same freaking way.
I think about it that way too. And I think everybody thinks it's a new thing, but it's not. It's the same thing.
Just a different noun.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different pronoun. It's a different proper noun, rather. And it's unbelievable to see that happen, man.
It's a little bit different. NFTs are sort of a little bit different because I don't know if you can name a time in history when an artist would get commission after selling something in a gallery or at an auction.
right? You would have to have had estate dealings at that point, right? So, I'm a big fan of Jerry Garcia, and he had these really infamous, specific modeled guitars that were for Jerry Garcia. And so whenever a company wants to go and take those specs and make their own Jerry Garcia guitar, they have to deal with the Jerry Garcia estate, right? And that is going to take 6 months. And then they have to trust the manufacturer's only making 500 of them.
There's that physical open air disconnect where there's a lot of dishonesty, and who's keeping track of all this stuff. With the blockchain, boom, it's like connected together.
Yeah, what's that meme where it's that dude with the mustache who slaps the duct tape on the water spot?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm sure I've seen it.
I'm sure you have. That's to me is like all the bullshit that independent creators have to deal with, just blockchain. And then you're good. Like you're solid. Like you're also getting a decentralized again, through Ethereum, you're getting that money instantaneously.
Yep.
Is that correct? Is it in terms of the financial transaction? I've never done an NFT. We have lots of content that could be. I'm really interested to hear about what do you experience with taxes? How fast do you get the ETH? What's the does it go into a hot wallet? Does it using Coinbase? Like the specific high resolution logistics of the receiving of the funds.
Sure. So I can speak as a creator because I haven't purchased my first NFT, and I'm at the tipping point where now I'm like, oh, I'm creating all these. Now I'm looking at other people's and I'm like, I kind of want to get one.
Isn't that crazy?
I will learn more and make more content about what happens on the buyer's end. From the creator's end, I use Coinbase. I transfer my US dollars into Coinbase and buy Ethereum. And then there's MetaMask, which is a wallet on your browser, on your computer. So it's a little fox, a little icon that pops up anytime you interact with the Ethereum blockchain. You have to sign a contract. That allows you to interact with OpenSea. So you can go on there and place bids or buy on OpenSea. And as soon as that is done, the money transfers. Well, first you got to go from Coinbase to MetaMask. Send your Ethereum from Coinbase to MetaMask.
Your transaction rate to that from Coinbase to MetaMask?
Is there a what?
Is there an interest, or are they taking a transaction fee?
Yeah, there's going to be a gas fee anytime you
wow, I see.
Interact with Ethereum blockchain. It's a pain. Like maybe the next year is going to be pretty painful in terms of gas fees, but I'm sort of think of MetaMask as my second wallet, and I'll just load it up, and then I don't have to worry about transferring gas fees. For if you want to send $50, it's probably $50 in gas fees right now. So it's crazy. So
wow.
But once you have MetaMask set up, you can go on OpenSea and buy anything like you're on Etsy, and as soon as you do, you'll get it to your wallet. And from the buyer's end, I don't know what that looks like in your wallet. From the creator's end, I instantly get funds to MetaMask. And it comes in WETH, which is wrapped Ethereum, which is like a separate section in your MetaMask wallet. And that's basically it. And I've gotten commission. What's that?
I see wrapped Bitcoin as well. So do you know what the term wrapped means?
I don't. I assume it's just an easier, it's either based on these platforms or it's just easier to transfer. I haven't really looked into what it is.
Right.
I've sort of just, I'm happy it's there. I'm not going to complain. Like I don't want to transfer it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to pay gas fees on that. But and then commissions, when something is traded in the future, you don't have to do anything. It's automatically sent to your MetaMask address. And for taxes, the smart thing to do is just assume that you're going to pay taxes on any profit you make. So keep it simple, keep it at that. You're paying capital gains tax wherever you live,
Of course.
On whatever you make.
Right. And that's a direct, that's a direct earnings. It wouldn't qualify as portfolio income.
Mm-hmm.
If it's royalty based, I'm assuming.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Interesting. What an interesting, unbelievable time. Absolutely astounding. To see a pro like you who's worked, like with Asher Roth and like Ariana, and it's unbelievable to see someone who has as much clout as you do be this inspired by the revolution that's happening.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because it bridges the gap between me and the music world, because I've created so much content for them in terms of cartoon animation and motion graphics. And in order to create NFTs, I sort of have to work with them again. It's all right, everyone got bored with the animated music videos. So now it's like this new wave of, let's create some multimedia experience out of my music or out of the videos you've made.
So are you having any conversations? You know, we're obviously talking about, you work with blue chip artists pretty much, it seems like. But are you having conversations with their team and talking about what some possible NFT releases could be, specifically in regards to music content?
Yeah, so I'm definitely talking with Asher. I don't know how we're going to release his NFT or if it's even going to go down yet. But I'm advising a couple of teams that are building NFT platforms, and one it's very early on, so I don't even know how much I can talk about.
Sure.
But they want to recreate a vinyl record store experience with NFTs. So it's going to be a platform where you can go on it, musicians can go on it, and it's going to be as simple as a platform like Canva to create your NFT. So you don't have to come to an animator like myself to create a multimedia experience. It's drag and drop, and it's going to allow you to build multimedia albums. You know, front cover, interior, your disc. It has a potential to bring back that era. I think there's a lot of work that needs to go into it to figure it out and get it done right. But I was also talking with a manager who owns all the rights to like every YouTube viral video. He's like a big time manager in that space, and he needs a tool to quickly convert all of that content into multimedia NFTs. So there's a huge need in that space to build a platform to allow creators to quickly convert their content into NFTs. Because right now you got to sort of do it manually and then upload it to these platforms. But I sort of want to build a tool that allows you to do it right on the website, you know?
Oh, wow. So you're talking about not needing to go to the marketplace that is OpenSea.io.
Well, it would be like an OpenSea.io, but just for music, just for build your album and then list it as an NFT on this new platform.
Wow.
I think I see that there's a gap and a need, but the way that it's executed, it needs to be figured out for sure.
Yeah, because obviously if the behavior to consume the exclusivity that were vinyl records was a thing at scale and still is a thing at scale, you know, vinyl records, I think 2 years ago, surpassed cassette and CD sales.
Yeah.
Right. So it's obviously still a chromosomal desire for a lot of music consumers. Of course, it's going to manifest within the NFT space, probably in a really efficient way.
Hopefully.
Wow, man, that's wild. So that's an idea that you came up with on your own, or this were other minds that were thinking about the vinyl?
No, this is a development team that reached out to me. And after I made my multimedia post on TikTok, they reached out and we've been talking, and they had the name for this product. It's exactly what I was thinking about. It was going to be called Record Shop. And but then the name changed. And as soon as the name changed, it was like, wow, this might be a thing.
Okay.
The name's going to be Crypto Records.
Holy shit.
And as soon as I heard that name, I thought to myself, whoa, like the record store died. Everybody thought that was gone. But as soon as you hear that something is dead and gone, you can rest assured that it's going to be resurrected in the next like 20 or 30 years. So there's potential. It's super early, but something I'm excited about because it lets me, I love working with musicians. It just brings so many visuals to my head that like, it could be another way that I can work with musicians and create a tool to allow them to easily create really cool animated NFTs.
So you would have a direct hand in terms of designing the platform or the interface rather that creators would go and interact with to create the many variables of product.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I'm thinking about. What am I scared of? Oh, I'm scared of building that. So it's what I need to focus on. Yeah.
You know, Carl Jung also said, where a man finds his fear, he finds his task.
It's just such a good theme. You can basically put that theme into any piece of art and people will like it.
Oh, wow.
It's like the theme of my graphic novel I'm working on right now. It's just
the content you've put around the graphic novel is fascinating to see how in depth that it's going to be able to be because it's created it within the digital realm is very inspiring. Something that I'm always interested in are like micro tasks versus like macro tasks. So like for me, for a guitar player, and singer-songwriter based out in Nashville, it would be like a micro task would be like, what content do I make today? And edit this podcast, etc. But my macro tasks are, you know, these large time horizon based, you know, like a YouTube series or an album. And you've had a lot of contention in a professional environment, a lot of success for many years doing this. How do you go ahead and approach? And this is digressing from the NFT concept. How do you go about organizing micro versus macro tasks so efficiently?
Interesting. Because I think about my work the same exact way, but I've never, called it micro versus macro. I think about it in terms of like, I almost visualize it as these like large dots with the task in the center. And like the larger the dot, that's the thing I need to tackle today. Like, and I'm just like shifting things around, like a beautiful mind type thing, like all these words and shapes in the air. I do it on quota. I do it on like, what the project is. I have large projects like making my graphic novel. I sort of think about it in terms of the products I make, documenting that. That's my content. That's my, what'd you call that? Was that your micro?
Yep.
So like the documentation and TikTok, that's all my micro. All the content creation is the micro that leads to the macro, which are my products and my services. And that's probably the best way I can explain it.
Do you have a regular output that you try to set the bar to uphold yourself to in terms of macro and micro releases? I need this many macros a year, this many micros a week kind of a thing, or?
Yeah, on Sundays, I'll sort of say to myself, let's try to put out like 5 TikToks this week. And I almost never hit it, but it's usually just set a very high bar and be happy with a 50% hit rate.
Such as I call it negotiating with reality, because it's so true. There's all these low resolution ideas we have in our consciousness. And when you actually go to notice the grindstone it out into the world from mine to Spotify, there's going to be so many negotiations that happen along that chain.
You can like get high off your own ideas. Like you can get high off planning, but then when you go to do it, it's like, I'm going to go make tea now.
Right. My fourth cup of tea.
The doing is the hard part, and that's the part you really need to focus on, and let the micro, like the documenting and the content creation around it, be secondary.
Doesn't matter. That's the thing where people are like, they feel like, I don't like posting about myself. I don't like doing all this. It's like, well, you're attaching that narcissistic value to it. It's like nobody else cares.
Yeah.
Put it out. Like just do it. You have a great schedule with TikTok, and you don't take it too seriously, which means you're catering to the psyche of the consumer in a very conscientious way.
Yeah, and you want to do that because I mean, I can't even imagine if you're like acting on there and you have to like, and then you meet people and it's like, all right. And just you got to just have fun with that content creation around your serious work, because it's like people will connect with that.
One thing I want to ask you about, which is something that I always, when I see people who have really realized distinct art, and then it's consistent, i.e. it's vertical, just like a business will have a vertical fit in. I always think about what's going on in that artist's brain to kind of realize that vision. And I have to think that empathy for the end consumer is something that must be part of your value center when creating. So I wanted to ask you, and this probably be one of my last questions, is how much does empathy in thinking about an end consumer go into the creation of your art? Let's start specifically with NFTs, because that's more specific to what Ryan does as the brand. And then I'd love to hear about how you go about interacting with a client.
I mean, you nailed it. Empathy is almost 100% what I focus on. If a client comes to me and they say, I need to create, visuals around this idea to get it to my marketplace, all I'm thinking about is, all right, I am that marketplace. I am that consumer sitting in that chair, interacting with it. What would make me tell my friends about it? Like, it's going to be an emotional story, and it's going to have some twists. It's going to have some thought. It's going to have, work on the details. You're got to be clever. You have to like keep it interesting and engaging. But I am always thinking, every single one of my music videos, I'm thinking about the ending of that video. What is that emotional feeling at the ending of that video that I want people to feel?
Right.
And that's like my secret sauce that I just don't tell my clients or anybody that is watching me make my artwork is I don't care what happens in between that point. Like, I want that last moment. Like, I want you to feel like, wow, I own this, or like, that was amazing. Or like, that's what I'm constantly working for. NFTs, services, whatever I'm doing. It's like, that's the greatness to me. Like, because that will make people talk about what I do and I get to do it more. Like, just being good. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's so that's the Seth Godin concept, is you got to have 100% empathy in regards to what you're doing. And that requires some forethought, because you're not just going to naturally arrive at an end consumer. You got to think about it. Right. That's insane. So the conundrum that I arrived to is when you have the end, you have to assume that they had enough consideration for your product or content to get to the end. So how do you make that first 3 to 5, 10 seconds a power punch? Do you have any approach to that?
Ooh, I think I'm always bad at, like, when I see those videos about people teaching you like how to make a hook for the beginning of your video, I'm like, I don't have a hook. I'm just documenting something that I really like to do. But when it comes down to, say, a video, like an animated music video, the first thing I put the song in my head and I listen to it 1,000 times and I'm thinking about that end moment. And once I lock down that end moment, I know I can reverse engineer that story to create the first moment. So if you look at I made a music video for Owl City called Unbelievable. And I sat there like slamming my head on the table for like a week, no ideas. And then I thought about it and it was like a nostalgic song. So I'm like, nostalgia. Well, there's like this VHS that was nostalgic. So I turned a VHS tape into a cartoon character with the eyes and stuff. And then I thought about, like, you used to get penalized when you went to return a VHS tape to the store, right? and you'd see like those, like if you didn't rewind it. So there'd be those Be Kind rewind stickers.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, that's the end of the video. He slaps a Be Kind rewind sticker on himself. So people think they might need to go back to watch the video again, but it's also nostalgic. And once I figured out that ending, I knew I could go back to the beginning and just do something sort of simple. VHS tape hops into a VHS player, and then we go off in the music video world.
Absolutely remarkable, man. And when I discovered you, I saw in your TikTok bio that you worked on, all these artist videos. And that was the first one I consumed, was the Owl City video.
Cool.
It's marvelously done. And it's funny to see how your artwork also has transcended with age, because you did do that a little while ago, right?
Yeah. That was 5 or 6 years ago.
But it's still Ryan Maloney. That's the thing I love about the realm of creation that we participate in. It's like you have to work out loud because you got to make money. Yeah. But also, like, you're also allowed to change within your own domain, man. So I'm just a huge fan of what.
Awesome. I'm a fan of yours. I was listening to your music. I was running on the treadmill yesterday and I had like 5 minutes to go and I just wanted to quit. And I put your music on and it got me into the zone. And I definitely hear the Jerry Garcia big time.
Thank you.
They're a little Foster. I was thinking, wow, this is Foster the People meets Jerry Garcia, a little bit of Tom Petty.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks, Ryan. I love that. That's awesome, man. Well, maybe I would love to collaborate some days, somehow down the line. That could be really fun.
Yeah, I'll do a duet on TikTok.
I'd love
some tunes.
Yes, indeed. That'd be super. That'd be fantastic. And man, as I learn more about NFTs, I'd love to stay in touch and see if I have any examples I could bring to you. And man, I would love to just keep in touch and see what you keep discovering in this space.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, NFTs are going to go away, but I'm just like, I'm an artist like you, and it's just, we'll learn the system together and it'll just be part of, of our artistic business.
It really will. Man, 5 years from now, we're going to be having a different story.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
We'll look back at this and it'll be like Katie Couric saying, "What's the internet?"
The best meme of them all.
Yeah, I want one of those moments. So this will be good.
Thanks for the time, Ryan. I appreciate it, my friend.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Ryan Maloney, y'all. Thank you, Ryan, so much for lending your brilliance, your intelligence, and your industriousness, and your creativity, and your thoughts on your experience on what you've already done, sharing those stories, and also where you think things are going. And no one knows what's happening next. That's why I'm always looking. Thank you, the listener, for listening to this interesting conversation on NFTs, on something that will probably be pretty normal in our lives in the not too distant future. 10 years ago does not seem all that far. Remember when you signed up for MySpace? Boy. Thank you, Osiris Media, for hosting the Lost Highway podcast. Literally my favorite podcast network in the cosmos. No other home, ain't no other place the Lost Highway would rather be. And thank you, our friends over at Topo Chico, for keeping us hydrated here. New Cosmic Country record out on September 30th. Not touring a whole bunch outside of that 5 nights in Milwaukee. 4 nights in Milwaukee that we have with Widespread Panic. That's really our biggest thing that we have for the rest of the year. Aside from that, it's going to be staying at home and working with the band, working on new music, and literally spending time on music. And it really is that simple. And I realize that because I've been really living with this concept here that I'm going to leave y'all with. Why are you looking around for help? Do you believe that will come from outside? No, what is to come is created in you and from you. Hence, look into yourself, do not compare, do not measure. No other way is really yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Mama sing that you got a jaboo. All right, I'll see y'all next episode.
Osiris.